Hey everyone, welcome back to The Explainer. So glad you're hanging out with us today, because we've got a seriously fascinating source text to dig into. We're tackling a massive question today. It's one you've probably wondered about, or maybe you've even debated it with your friends. Here it is. Does deciding to follow God mean you literally have to give up absolutely everything fun in your life? Does becoming a Christian mean you just sign up for, well, a lifetime of boring rules? We're going to look really closely at a classic piece of writing on this exact topic, and honestly, what it reveals might completely flip how you see things. It's an explainer all about the ultimate trade.
So, let's start right here. Do you really have to give up all the fun? Especially for you guys watching who are right around 10 years old. I mean, this is a huge deal. Let's just be real for a second. There's kind of this rumor going around that becoming a Christian means your life instantly becomes super boring. You hear people say that following Christ takes away your weekend fun, your worldly enjoyments, or your chance to just be a normal kid. It can feel like you're being asked to, hand over your absolute favorite video games and toys just to sit quietly in a room forever. But our source text, it tackles this rumor head on.
And here is the absolutely incredible truth it reveals. It simply says, it takes away nothing worth saving. Now, what's really cool about this statement is how simple but totally powerful it actually is. Think about cleaning your room, right? When you throw away a dried-up marker, or a broken toy, or a gross candy wrapper, are you sad about it? No way, because those things aren't worth keeping anyway. The source is telling us that anything we supposedly lose by following God is exactly like that broken toy. The Christian life doesn't take away anything that is actually good for you, or anything that's going to truly make you happy in the long run.
All right, so let's do a quick reality check here, because the truth is everyone faces hard times. We really need to be realistic about this. Sometimes people think, well, if I just do whatever I want and totally ignore God, my life will be perfectly easy. But our source gives us a major reality check and asks a super pointed question. Is the sinner free from these ills of life? And when the text says sinner here, it's just talking about someone who decides to chase worldly stuff, someone who ignores God and just does their own thing. Do they have a perfect life? Do they somehow escape sadness or tough times? The source points out that no, they absolutely do not. We see people who chase after the world still facing deep perplexity, which just means they are super confused and stressed, plus poverty and deep, deep trouble. Literally nobody gets a free pass from hard times.
Okay, let's dive into this. If we look at these two paths side by side, we have the follower of Christ and the sinner. Check out that first point, experiences hard times. It's a huge yes for both. Both paths have major bumps, but look at the next part, because this is where everything changes. Who helps them? The Christian gets to lean on one for support. God is right there, literally helping them carry the heavy load. But the person on the other path, they have to bear those trials totally alone. And man, that sounds exhausting. Then finally, the final destination. The follower of Christ gets an imperishable inheritance, a treasure that never ever breaks or gets old. The other path? It leads to darkness and remorse, ending up bound by Satan. When you put them side by side like this, one path is obviously much, much better.
Which brings us to the big sacrifice myth, and exactly why it can sometimes feel so hard.
Look, we have to acknowledge that sometimes following God really does feel like a massive sacrifice. Our source text totally validates those feelings and lists exactly what makes it feel so difficult. First, believing an unpopular truth. Imagine being the only kid in your class who stands up for what's right when everyone else is doing the exact opposite. That is tough. It definitely feels like a sacrifice. Second, the road just seems hard. Doing the right thing takes actual effort. And third, broken friendships. Sometimes, when you decide to follow Jesus, friends or even relatives who just want to do worldly things kind of stop understanding you. They might even pull away. And that hurts, right? That feels like a huge sacrifice.
But then, the author hits us with this incredible, energetic pivot. The text flat out declares, in reality, they make no sacrifice at all. Wait, what? Zero? None? Actually, scratch that. How can that even be true after what we just talked about? Well, because the text reminds us of a massive fact. We are adopted into the family of God. Imagine if you lost a rusty, broken old bicycle, but on the exact same day, the King of the universe adopted you into his royal family. Would you sit around crying about the rusty bicycle? No way. Because of who you are now, you haven't actually sacrificed anything at all.
So it's not a sacrifice. It's actually the amazing exchange, the ultimate upgrade.
Following God isn't about losing things. It's literally the greatest swap in the history of the universe. Just look at what you yield or give up. You give up error,
darkness, sin, and perishable earthly names. Basically, all the things that fade away, break, and make us miserable. And what do you gain? You trade error for truth. You trade darkness for light. You trade sin for righteousness. And you trade a fading earthly reputation for lasting honors and undefiled treasure. I mean, if someone offered to trade you a shiny new gold coin for a handful of dirty mud, you'd do it in a heartbeat, right? That's exactly what God is offering. It's an incredibly massive upgrade.
And our source gets super specific about what this undefiled treasure actually is. First, your name is written in the Lamb's Book of Life. You are officially on the ultimate VIP list. Second, you are elevated to be a partaker of salvation. But check out these last two. You become heirs of God and joint heirs with Jesus Christ. Do you know what an heir is? An heir is the prince or princess who gets to inherit the entire kingdom. You aren't just some servant in God's house. You are treated as absolute royalty, sharing in everything Jesus Christ has. Now that is an unbeatable exchange.
And the best part? This isn't just about the future. It's the everyday prize, because you are never alone.
You're probably thinking, okay, being an heir of the universe sounds awesome for when I get to heaven, but what about a random Tuesday right now? Well, the text promises this. The faithful Christian enjoys real happiness, even in this life. Because we have someone to lean on during our tough days, because God is literally walking with us through the halls at school, at home, everywhere we go, we can actually be genuinely happy today. The person chasing the world has to carry their heavy backpack of worries all by themselves. But the Christian, we get to hand that heavy backpack right over to God. And that brings a lightness and a real happiness right now. I want to read you this super powerful quote directly from the source, just to help wrap our minds around this. It says, "If we appreciate or have any sense of how dearly our salvation was purchased, anything which we may call sacrifice will sink away into insignificance." Now, insignificance is a big word, but it just means something is so tiny it doesn't even matter anymore. The author's reminding us of the insanely high price Jesus paid. He gave up his life. He made the ultimate sacrifice so we could be adopted into the royal family. When we truly get that, any little trade we make, like giving up a bad habit or missing out on some temporary worldly fun, seems absolutely tiny. It just sinks away into nothing.
So as we wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with this one question to really think about. What are you willing to trade today? Are you holding on to some broken, temporary stuff just because you're afraid of making a sacrifice? I really hope today showed you that God is just inviting you to make the ultimate exchange. Hand over the heavy, broken stuff and step right into the light, the truth, and your royal inheritance. Think about that today. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and keep exploring.